rejoice. Salvation is drawing near. Salvation is drawing near. Oh, come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel that mourns in lonely exile here until the Son of God appears. Come, Emmanuel, Son of God appears. Heaven and earth.
All right. This is the assistant director, Michael Lager, coming to you just real quickly. We'll get back to the music and then back to Cody with Gentry Heimerman. I just wanted to mention real quick on our live streams, if you could like and share those and just spread them around as much as you possibly can, that would be great for us. We want to get the word out there and, not just the people in our listening area, but those outside of it, even those who might not even have Catholic radio in their lives, but, they see a Facebook post and it gets out to there, we get close to Manhattan, but not quite there. So maybe somebody in Manhattan is able to tune into the live stream and see that, our Great Bend area station's a little bit small in the Dodge City Diocese, but, somebody outside of there in Dodge City or around the Great Bend area might be able to see it for the first time. McPherson, same thing. We know you guys are down there, KJDM as well. In the Wichita Diocese, we're looking to get there as much with people as possibly as we can. So if we can just like and share those and try and get the word out there, that, we're not we're big on radio, but we also have our live streaming app so you can listen no matter where you are. So I'm going to hand it back over to Cody here real quick for you, and we'll get started.
Oh, bid our sad division cease, and before.
All right, we are back on. I was tempted there to tell Michael, hey man, if you're gonna sit in the driver's seat, you better be ready to drive the car and just make him sit in here and do the next interview. We might have to make him do that. What do you think, Gentry?
I think it's a good idea.
No, right. Michael, get back in here. So we are getting ready to, actually, Gentry's already in here, so not just welcome him in, but to have a conversation with Gentry Heimerman. So I'm going to introduce him here in just a minute. But first, I want to get to that trivia question right after I give you the top of the hour. You are listening to 101.7 KJDM Lindsborg and Salina, 105.1 KMDG Hayes, 88.1 KRTT Great Bend, 88.1 KVDM Hayes, and 89.1 KGOH Colby. All right, you're listening to our fall Care-a-thon, Joy of the Gospel. Our trivia question for this hour, if you think you know the answer, I'm going to have you call into 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. Over which body of water did the Israelites escape from the Egyptians? Is it A, the Sea of Galilee, B, the Dead Sea, C, the Red Sea, or D, the Jordan River? Over which body of water did the Israelites escape from the Egyptians? A, the Sea of Galilee, B, the Dead Sea, C, the Red Sea, D, the Jordan River. 785-621-4110. Also, I want to remind everybody who calls in to give that the first caller, all right, everybody call in at once and let's see who beats who. I love a good competition. First caller with $100 donation this hour. I'll hold it up here on our live streams. Oh, wait, I don't know that the live stream's going. Well, so if it's not, it'll get going here pretty soon. But the first caller for $100 donation or more will get the book In the School of the Holy Spirit by Jacques Philippe. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Jacques Felipe. I don't know, man. Anyway, that's compliments of Highland Ann Huguenin. Wonderful people. And thank you for that, Highland Ann. Now I'm holding it up. I think we're live now so people can see it. In the School of the Holy Spirit. So call in right now. Let's make a rush on those phones and see who can get there first with a $100 donation or more. 785-621-4110. All right. We have Gentry Heimerman in here with us in the studio, and he's the director of young adult ministry for the Diocese of Dodge City. He's a former leader of Catholic disciples at the Como Catholic Campus Center when he attended Fort Hays State University. Gentry is married to his wife, Sydney, and they have 5 children. Theo, Hattie, Aiden, Ezra, and one to make a first appearance in February. All right, congrats, man.
Thank you.
All right. Gentry received his master's degree in theology from Notre Dame University. So how you been?
Very good.
Very
Very
good.
Somewhat sleep deprived, but good nonetheless.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you
I
know?
mean, it's been that way for years, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of just par for the course.
Absolutely. Now, how are things going in down in the Dodge City area?
Really well. There's some beautiful things going on right now. A real growth and momentum in vocation work.
Yeah.
Which we need desperately. And so for whatever reason, at this point, some things are happening that haven't been happening before. And there's a real, I can feel the momentum, even if it's small, little ways, little signs of hope, where this culture of vocational discernment is being built up in our diocese. So grateful for that.
That's awesome. Now, I am a big family guy, not just like because I have 7 kids. I'm just like big on family. So tell us a little bit about your family, if you would, because I don't think that sometimes we don't dote on our families enough.
Yeah.
Like I want to hear about other people's families. So.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So many funny stories I could tell just in the last couple of days. Well, in general, what happens with my family in the evening is a continual up and down. I'm sure you experience the same thing.
Yes.
Where we're at dinner, and like the other night, my youngest had a plate with barbecue sauce that he threw over the railing onto the carpeted steps. So barbecue sauce bouncing off the plate onto the carpeted steps all the way down.
That's fantastic.
So there's that moment
Uh-huh.
where you and your wife look at each other like, oh my gosh, well, what have
Did
we got
that
ourselves
just
into?
happen?
Yeah. And then within, a snap of the fingers, one older sibling does something really sweet for a younger sibling. One of the kids tells a story from their day that's just beautiful about, their friend or what they learned or whatever. One of the siblings helps take care of the other sibling's plate after dinner. And just these beautiful little normal things will happen where then Sydney and I look at each other like, wow, how are we so fortunate that we get to experience this? And now, we get to experience some of those things for the 4th time around and soon for the 5th time around. So I've been telling people lately that there's a lot of chaos, a lot of chaotic moments, but the glorious moments outweigh the chaotic moments.
Yeah.
So I'm really grateful for that.
That's awesome. And both your wife and mine are probably like, man, we get to experience these guys every day. I'm sure that's what they're thinking.
Yes. Yes.
Or they're thinking, are they just another one of my children? At least I try not to throw barbecue sauce plates over onto the steps anymore, but so no, thank you for that. I love hearing how families are doing. And yes, you're right. Sometimes it's chaos, but it's always beautiful in the end. And children are the best thing.
Yes. Which we might get into this. I don't know. I had a period of time in college where I was discerning priesthood, married life. Ultimately, God made it clear to me I was called to be a husband and a father. And so I knew it would be good.
Mm-hmm.
And I had things about it that I look forward to. I did not know it would be this good. I had no clue.
Yeah.
So really grateful.
Well, and I mean, because kids, they make you less selfish.
Yes.
And it's not like I'm not selfish, but I'm less.
Yes. I think getting married was that first smack of realization, like, wow, I am really self-centered. I have to figure out how to put this other person before me. And then kids just like crank that level up, all the more. So I'm grateful for that. I need it, obviously.
I love too how they are so direct, and they will just tell you and like, oh wow, yeah, okay.
Yes.
I get it.
They're painfully honest sometimes.
Yes. Okay. Well, we're not here just to talk about family, but it is a beautiful thing. So I wanted to start with that. And so maybe now we can start digging into, you get married, and you were living around here during college.
Right. So I was here for college for my 4 years of undergrad. And there's a period of time in there, like I mentioned, where I thought maybe I was called to be a priest. So I was kind of seeking that out, meeting with vocation director, spiritual director, visiting the seminary and stuff. And once all the breadcrumbs aligned, it became clear I was called to be a husband and a father. So I proposed to Sydney actually right in front of St. Joseph's on 13th.
Awesome.
And so we spent our senior year of college engaged, but I didn't know what to do then. I had come to school planning to do physical therapy. So through this discernment process, I realized I wasn't called to be a priest, but also not a physical therapist. Okay, now what, Lord? And out of nowhere, I got a phone call from the Diocese of Dodge City that year asking if I would consider to come and work for the diocese, starting this new position that they were just kind of thinking about. And not long after that, Sydney got an offer from Dodge City High School offering for her to come in and do her student teaching, followed by a pretty good chance that she would teach there. And so within like 2 weeks, it's like, okay, Lord, we're moving to Dodge, which was not on my radar, was definitely not on her radar. And so we graduated and then we got married here at St. Joe in June. And then our honeymoon was the road trip to Indiana to start my courses.
Oh, wow.
And so within that, like from June to July, we moved to Dodge technically and got a house there. And I started my master's program and everything else. And so that like June, July, August was a whirlwind.
Holy cow.
But it was great. It was amazing.
No kidding.
Wouldn't change it. So yeah, that's what took us to Dodge was this phone call seemingly out of the blue from the Diocese of Dodge City. And then her offer there at the high school. So
okay.
From Hayes to Dodge.
All right. So then you get to Dodge. You begin in youth ministry there. And, so is it youth ministry, young adult ministry?
So technically my title is Director of Young Adult Ministry. And we have someone else who works there who's the Director of Youth Ministry, Emma Webbs.
Okay.
But the reality is we work together on many things. There's a lot of overlap there, of course. So, and even like the summer programs that we run, Prayer in Action, Totus Tuus, things like that, we work together on all those things. So there's a lot of blending, youth and young adult. And then my job also extends to some other things that are tangentially related. I'm the website guy for our diocese because we're a very small team. And so somebody's got to do that. And the photographer, and I'm on the vocations team, and I mowed the grass for 2 summers.
Oh, nice.
So like, that's just the reality of what it is in the Diocese of Dodge City. It's very small. You wear many hats. And so, yes, young adult ministry, but then also these other pieces as well.
Well, I'm glad that you had time to come visit with us today. So,
oh yeah, it's been a great day. I already saw a couple of college students earlier today, and I'll see at least one more after this. And that's part of my job too, is traveling around and visiting students who are from our diocese. But since there's no university in our diocese, almost necessarily our students leave when they're in that 18 to 22-year-old range. So a lot of my job is staying in touch with those people, getting them together, and encouraging them to continue to grow in their faith while they're in college, and then offering them opportunities, like I mentioned with Prayer in Action and Totus Tuus. We hire college students for that. So that's another piece of like recruiting in a sense. Keeping my eyes peeled for who might be a good candidate for that. So yeah, I love making a trip to Hayes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, so maybe you can answer some of this too. So there's a young adult group that's going on here in Hayes, and they meet at St. Nick's often. There's a young lady, Christina Bixenman, who helps organize that and everything. And I know it's a tough thing. I mean, any ministry can be, but especially with young adults. So here's what makes it tough. You have people who are out of high school, but not everybody goes to like a 4-year college, right? So like you said, not everybody's going to somewhere with a campus center. So young adult here is like 18 to 40. So sadly, I'm not even in that anymore. I mean, I died a little bit inside when I was like, seriously, I can't go. And so, technically that's the age range.
Yeah.
But really, they kind of want more of the like 25 to 40, but they leave it at that because they want somewhere for like, if somebody does just go straight into the workforce because they're like, no, that's what I'm supposed to do. Well, fantastic. Well, but now they're not really connected to a Catholic hub at the campus center necessarily. And so you want them to be able to be involved. But yet, you also want this group of people that's not really hasn't been greatly catechized maybe. So it's a weird conundrum.
Yeah.
What is your guys' young adult kind of age range, and how do you guys navigate some of that stuff?
Yeah. So, right. Technically, the USCCB defines a young adult as someone between 18 to 39 or 18 to 40.
Okay.
So that, it's a huge range, and that's a big gap in life moments.
Yeah,
you have
it
those just graduated from high school, maybe going to college, maybe not going to college. Those just getting married, those who are not yet married, those who have been married, and everything in between. Like it's a mixed bag with that wide of an age range, which is why I think for me, what I consider to be my first role in my position for the diocese is to pray and to fast for all of the young adults in the Diocese of Dodge City. I feel like Bishop John has sort of brought me in to think about and to be aware of, and then most importantly to offer on my heart, like those people. Now, the reality is I can't possibly know all of those 18 to 39-year-olds in the Diocese of Dodge City, and I certainly can't serve them all in any sort of like tangible way. So, but I can pray and I can fast for them. So that's job number one. And then my goal is just to sort of be open to whatever groups of people or even just singular people the Lord brings into my focus. And that always changes. So sometimes I'm doing work that's really focused on those college kids that are at the four-year universities, Fort Hays, K-State, KU. Sometimes my work is more focused on the students who are at a community college or at maybe one of the four-year like private colleges somewhere in the state where there's no Catholic ministry. So I run digital Bible studies for those students who are spread out all over the state and beyond. Sometimes my work just happens to be on that one guy who's considering becoming Catholic, and he's the only person between the age of 22 and 32 in his whole parish, you know, and so they connect him to me because they don't know what to do, and so I get to become friends with him. So it changes a lot, and I think that's just been the way I've operated, and I think that's worked pretty well to start first by praying and fasting for the broad group, and then just really focusing on whoever the Lord brings into my focus over time, and that shifts a lot, but that's how it looks for me.
No, I appreciate that, because it sounds like, you know, people use the word holistic a lot, but it sounds kind of like that holistic approach is, you know, where can we get things going from every different angle that we need, but not necessarily at the same time. I mean, kind of like in your own life, like, okay, well, I'm starting to get a little bit of a gut. Maybe I need to start working out more, right? But then when you get out of a workout routine, you're like, actually, I'm in pretty good shape, you know, like, but now maybe I need to start doing this for my spiritual health, because, you know, so that's what it kind of sounds like is, you know, like, whatever we need to do at the moment to make sure that at some point we're bringing in all aspects so that people aren't just getting left on the peripheries.
Yeah. And so the upside of that, and the upside of working for a tiny diocese is we're very nimble, and you can just sort of move from this need to that need. That's the upside. The downside is there's so many needs, you can't address them all. And so that can be, that can be like demoralizing or depressing to think like, oh, there's so many people, there's so many needs out there, and I can't meet them all. I can't find volunteers to help with them all. Like, you just can't. So I've just decided not to focus on that part and instead to focus on the former, which is that I can only do what I can do. And so try to be faithful to that.
Absolutely. We are talking with Gentry Heimerman. He is the director of young adult ministry for the Diocese of Dodge City. And also I want to remind people that we don't have a trivia winner yet, or the winner of the book. And so to get the trivia winner, or to answer the trivia question and be the winner so that we can enter you into the drawing for the $50 gift certificate, there's my tongue, to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts here in Hays. They're also online. You would call 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. And that's the same number you would call to give a donation. Remember, if you're the first person to donate $100 or more this hour, you will receive that book being given away, Compliments of Hyland and Huguenin. And that book is In the School of the Holy Spirit. So call in now with your pledges, 785-621-4110. And I'm going to make it real easy on people because I'm just going to give the trivia question also. So now you can kill two birds with one stone, as it goes. So call that number, get the trivia question, get a pledge. Here we go. Question of the 2 o'clock hour is: over which body of water did the Israelites escape from the Egyptians? Is it A, the Sea of Galilee, B, the Dead Sea, C, the Red Sea, or D, the Jordan River? I'll give you a clue. It's one of them that rhymes. Over which body of water did the Israelites escape from the Egyptians? Is it the Sea of Galilee, the Dead Sea, the Red Sea, or the Jordan River. 785-621-4110. Call that number to win that trivia question and to give us your donation, especially if you are a new donor. We need more of those new donors. We've had a lot of people calling in and giving extra above what they already give, and that is such a blessing. Thank you. We're also looking for those new donors to help us use up those matching funds. I'll get a total for you at some point today. I think we're probably down to somewhere around $16,000 in matching funds. We'd like to get those used up just as quickly as possible. 785-621-4110. If you have a question for Gentry, by the way, call to 785-621-5061. If you don't want us to patch you directly over the air, then you can send it into the studio and we'll ask it for you. But he's a great guy doing great work down there. And if you want to call in and ask him a question, please do so. 785-621-5061. All right, here we go. Gentry, talking about you young adult ministry, which you're involved in. I imagine that this didn't, it did kind of just get sprung upon you, but, your time here at the campus center and stuff like that, what helped you to kind of transition into that role?
Well, when I was at Fort Hays, I got involved with Catholic Disciples right away, my freshman year. Oh, which, by the way, now I think it's called Catholic Tigers. I'm probably going to continue to refer to it as Catholic Disciples.
That's okay. That's what I know it as.
Okay. And I got involved my freshman year and really enjoyed it. Started to learn a lot more about my faith. Was just exposed to so many things that I didn't even know about ahead of time. Wow, I could go down a list maybe, but like I'll never forget. I was sitting in the lounge one day, and I was hanging out with some friends, and at about 5:41, they stood up and left the lounge. I thought, wonder what everybody's doing. I kept doing my homework, whatever.
Odd.
Yeah. And the next day, 5:41-ish, they start standing up and walking out. What are they doing? And then one of the other students one day said, "Hey, are you coming to mass?" And I said, "Mass? It's Tuesday." And they're like, "Yeah, it starts at 5:45. Are you gonna come?" And that was the first time I learned that daily mass existed. So there were so many things that I just didn't know. And the Catholic Campus Center, Catholic Disciples, was my first exposure to many of those things, many of these rich gifts of our faith. So yeah, that's one category of like ways in which the Campus Center prepared me, right? It's just a building up of this Catholic faith. And then, of course, there's the practical elements that transferred to this job. So when I was the president at Catholic Disciples, my junior and senior year, I was learning a lot about, just the ins and outs of ministry, of getting people together to work on a common issue or whatever it might be. Leadership in that regard. And so there's those practical elements that we're able to transfer into this job, again, working with college students. And then the relationships, those types of friendships that were formed there, that were deepened there because they were focused on Christ. So first and foremost, my wife, Sydney. I think Father Nick was just in here before me, and he was using the red chairs from the Campus Center in this interim time as they were finishing their paint project in Immaculate Heart of Mary. I wanted some of those chairs, and I got them today. I got a couple chairs that Sydney and I used to sit in and pray in and discern what was next in our lives, So they mean a lot to me. And there's some other friends that sat near me in those same chairs, who are still close to me in my life that I'm really grateful for. So some of those friendships, Deacon Adam Urban would probably be near the top of that list too, of someone where we live together at the Campus Center, we work together for Catholic Disciples, but that friendship has continued to grow for a decade since. So really grateful for that.
That is awesome. Can I ask you just to back up, back way up? How did you and Sydney meet? I mean, was it down at Catholic Disciples then?
We met before that. We met when we were in high school, actually.
Okay.
We were at different high schools, about 45 minutes apart from each other. And well, long story short, some girls from my school ran cross country, and she ran cross country, and they met at a meet and became friends. And at some point when she was describing the sort of guy that she wanted to meet, the girls from my school said, "You need to meet Gentry." And so they started bringing Sydney to various Halstead functions. I did not know about this. They did not make me aware. So
great.
I met her in the stands at a football game once, and I met her at a couple other events, not knowing that they were bringing her there to introduce her to me. So if
Okay.
you ask her, it took me way too long to notice. Sorry, Sydney.
No, that's all right. I'm glad that you told me that, because as a cross country coach, your wife is even more awesome now.
She is awesome.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yes.
All right, you're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Care-a-thon, Joy of the Gospel. We're talking with Gentry Heimerman about the joy of ministering to the young adult population. Please call in, as we have $13,360 left in matching funds. That's a little over $13,000 we have of people who gave so that you can use their money for free. Not many chances to do that in this life, folks. So whatever you spend, they will match it. It will be doubled. 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. Let's get back to talking with Gentry about young adult ministry. And then Gentry, as you are doing these different things, you've already discussed some of how you kind of try to tailor it to whatever the needs are at the time. Can you go into some deeper understanding of what the different programs you kind of run and help facilitate are?
Sure. So one of the programs or areas of programs that people might be most familiar with in our diocese, we refer to them with the umbrella term summer missions, but that includes prayer in action and Totus Tuus, and then a camp for middle school students that we call Camp Cristo Rey. And then we have a couple little vocation focused events that also fit under that umbrella. So it's a total of like 5 different programs rolled into one. And I served on one of those prayer and action teams when I was a college student. I could have never guessed that I'd be like running that program as a full-time job, but that's a real joy just to bring these college students together to teach them the lifestyle of prayer and action, because the program it's just a program. All programs they have a shelf life, but the goal is to learn how to put all of your work and all of your leisure and everything in between under the lordship of Jesus, and to learn how to transfer that not just from a week at a program, but like into daily life. So I get to see these college students learn how to do that and then teach younger students how to do that, the high school students. So that's been really beautiful and is already bearing fruit. Seeing those people who are now alumni from those programs when they maybe move back into the diocese at some point, those are the type of people that you can turn to really like get things going at their parish, to invite other people into this life with Christ. So yeah, that's been a cool thing. All of summer missions. Some other programs. Let's see. Where should I go next?
Well, let's actually talk maybe a little bit about prayer in action. So
Okay.
I've been on prayer in action. And why do you think prayer in action is such a powerful thing?
I think because it models the Christian lifestyle in a way that's tangible and authentic and replicable. I think that's why, because it's one thing to go to, a giant conference, and I've been to many giant conferences.
Yep.
They're a blast, so no doubt. But you can't live like you're at a Steubenville conference all day, all year. That's just not realistic. But for me, 10 years into being like a husband and father, I'm still using like skills I picked up in prayer and action 10 years ago in my daily work with my kids.
Yeah.
If we're gonna go shovel mulch off the driveway that got dropped off into the backyard, before we start, we pray and we thank God for this gift and this opportunity to work and to work together, and we offer all of that work up as a prayer. Like, that's straight from prayer in action, and it's directly applicable to my life now. And I think that's what makes it so powerful, because it's not that it's very expensive. Actually, it's not very flashy. I mean, the kids sleep on the floor, they cook macaroni and cheese for each other. So it's not that it's any of those things, but it's very real. And I like that a lot.
And I think my oldest son, he's gone several years, and I think it's one of his favorites. And I think that is why, both him and I, and you know how we end up rubbing off on our children a little bit.
For better or worse.
Yeah, I know. And I'm not sure how this one is, but both of us could do without all of the hype stuff. We'd rather just go out and work.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. That's one of the reasons why prayer in action, I think, is so good, is because you often hear about, like all kinds of, you're hearing about mission work and stuff. And not everybody can actually go to Zimbabwe, even if it's just, going to inner city, 9 hours away, like not everybody even has that. But generally, you can go to your backyard. And like you said, it's like $50 for the week. I mean, something like that. It's
Yeah.
pretty cheap. And so
Yeah.
our kids can experience what it means to serve someone like right in their own area. And I
Mhm.
think that's really important because then it becomes real to them. And like you were saying, they're actually living out the gospel. And so,
Yeah, one of the beautiful fruits that I've seen just this week, and I don't know if she'll mind me mentioning her. I will anyway. Lauren Gleason, who she was involved with Prayer in Action in our diocese from the beginning. Basically, she went all through high school, and then she actually served on our team as a college student, and now she's got this kind of unique opportunity before her where she has completed her student teaching, but not yet ready to start the job. So she's got this whole next semester kind of open, not sure what to do with it. And so she called me and asked how she could formulate some sort of like young adult service, something. And to me, I'm so excited that this young person is thinking with this next 5 months of my life, how can I serve the Lord?
Yeah,
How can I
right.
draw people into that service? And she could just binge on Netflix if she wanted for the next 5 months
Yeah.
and just be totally self-centered. But instead she's looking out and she's like Bishop Barron would say, engaging with the theodrama rather than the ego drama. Like,
Oh,
what does
yeah.
God want me to do, and stepping into that adventure? And so I know that's not all just directly tied to this program called Prayer in Action, but that is an influence
Yeah.
in teaching her how to like view the world and how to view the time that she has and to use it for a higher purpose than just herself. And yeah, it's just really beautiful. So good work, Lauren.
Absolutely. Help her out. Anybody that's listening. You're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Care-a-thon Joy of the Gospel. Want to congratulate Norma Pipkin. I think it's Pipkin. I just want to make sure because I know Norma Pipkin, and I think maybe we have a typo there. If we do, I'll find out. But congratulations, Norma. The question there was, over which body of water did the Israelites escape from the Egyptians? And the correct answer is the Red Sea. So now we're going to get to our second question. I'm going to let Gentry read the second question. Always have to tell people don't read the answer.
Okay.
So read the question and the selections twice, if you would, please.
What body of water did the Israelites cross to enter the Promised Land? Is it A, the Red Sea, B, the Dead Sea, C, the Sea of Galilee, or D, the Jordan River? Answers again.
Yeah.
A, the Red Sea, B, the Dead Sea, C, the Sea of Galilee, or D, the Jordan River?
785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. That's also the number to call in with your pledge. You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio, and we are 100% listener supported. I love this. I've said it before, but I love it because, we have to follow FCC regulations, but the government doesn't get to tell us that we can't put out Catholic content because that's all we do. And so that's really cool that we get to just share our faith with whoever is out there listening. And so if you want to join with us in sharing the joy of the gospel, please call 785-621-4110. All right, let's get going back to talking about the joy of ministering to young adults with Gentry Heimerman. So we talked a little bit about prayer in action. Another one that you mentioned was it called Cristo Rey?
Oh yeah, Camp Cristo Rey. It's for our middle school students.
Okay, so now what is that?
So the whole goal with Camp Cristo Rey is to get students away from the humdrum, maybe, or maybe even like the negative influences in their daily life. So there's no cell phone while you're at Camp Cristo Rey, which is very funny to watch because in the first moments when you take a cell phone away from a middle school student, they turn sometimes very ugly and scary. But then you can see them. Especially if we have two different kinds of camps, I guess. One's like a one-day opportunity, but the other one's an overnight thing in a bunkhouse, more of a traditional camp situation. You watch them over the course of 2 or 3 days, and you see them turn back into kids, like into children, and it's really beautiful. They're not all just staring at their phones. They're not stuck in their groups. Those are the athletic boys, and those are the, they, by the end of the week, they're just having fun together. And that's really the whole goal of the camp, is to draw the students together and then give them an experience of holy leisure, where you do things just to do them. So we play rounds and rounds and rounds of gaga ball and kickball or whatever game is popular at the moment. And they relearn actually how to just play a game rather than like, I got to make sure I make this many shots today so that I can make that many shots tomorrow, so that I can go to high school and play basketball, so I can go to college and play basketball, so I can make a bunch of money playing basketball in the NBA, which they're already trained in that method. They're already trained in that mode of like, my life revolves around sports. My life revolves around getting whatever achievement it is. We cut all that out at camp, and it's like, just enjoy being in the moment with other people your age. And along the way, we're going to point out where God is. And so we do that through, we have mass, we have adoration, we have liturgy of the hours, which for many of these kids, that's the first time they've ever experienced some of these things. So it's really beautiful too, to see them go a little bit deeper into like the richness of the Catholic faith, and do that with other students their age, and do it all while kind of throwing off some of this stuff that's already, how do you say it? Like clouding their vision, their sacramental vision. That's the goal of Camp Cristo Rey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Callie Rudman. Way to go, Callie. Got another question in today. So the question there was, what body of water did the Israelites cross to enter the promised land? The correct answer there is the Jordan River. So nice job, Callie. We will get you entered into that drawing for that $50 gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts. Also want to thank Rich Dortzweiler, a good friend of mine. He gave $50 in new donation. All right. Thank you, Rich. That becomes a $100 donation. Gentry, I think you know Rich too.
I do. Hi, Rich.
Rich is like the godfather of the campus center.
Yes.
So thank you, Rich. Great guy in our community, and does wonderful things, and a very prayerful man. So we appreciate you listening and appreciate you giving. Please join with Rich and give to these radio waves. 785-621-4110. All right. We are talking with Gentry Heimerman. We're getting back to discussing young adult ministry. So, we've discussed a couple of programs. Are there other ones? So like when we're talking about the 18 to 40, this is something that I think is actually more difficult. We have a lot of things for high school and junior high kids.
Right.
Once you get out, it kind of can be in no man's land.
Right. And that's why I always encourage people in our diocese to take those initiatives and aim really, really simple. Because sometimes what will happen too is we are accustomed to what youth ministry looks like, and then we're accustomed to what maybe college campus ministry looks like at a big university, and then we try to copy that back in our little parish for the those just out of college, and we try to do too much.
Yeah,
we want to make an event at the parish with a speaker with a full meal provided and everything else, and then people get burnt out really quickly.
We found the same thing.
And so I'm always encouraging people to say, can you just find any excuse to get young adults together? Really anything. It can be a potluck at someone's house. It can be, very simple. And just let that begin and see where it goes, so that nobody gets burnt out, so that no one feels too intimidated by doing it. And I think that's a better approach. At least it seems to be for us to play small ball, really. And so what that looks practically for us, Sydney and I host people in our home pretty regularly, and to the point where our kids ask if there's like a week that we don't have people over, they'll say, "Are we having friends over tonight?" Which is pretty cool. So those are typically really simple. We just invite one family or two families or a couple single young adults to come over. Maybe ask them to bring something, which I think people appreciate that. They want to contribute, to some degree. And we just, we pray and we eat and we talk. And there's been some cool fruits come out of that. One in particular this year, I sent a text out to, a number of basically single young adults in Dodge City saying, "Hey, potluck on this night, come over if you can." And some some young adults came over. It was a great night. And then a couple weeks later, one of those guys who was there that night, he had some extra meat left over from a barbecue or something, and his parents were going to help him cook it. And so he just sent a text to that same group saying, "Hey, come to my house tonight if you want barbecue food at this time," which is amazing because that guy did not know all the other people in that group. So it impressed me because, first of all, he trusted me, I guess, trusting that whoever I would have invited to my home, he could invite to his home. But he picked up the model and he copied it.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, I've got some extra food, and I guess I'll just invite people over, see who comes." And so there were people who showed up at his house that night that did not show up at my house the previous night. So he met more young adults that are in our area. So I think just starting really simple, just inviting people over for a meal, don't overcomplicate it. And so that's kind of what it looks like for us. That's kind of what I try to encourage other parishes to do. And then also I have a men's group that's just for those young adult Catholic married men with kids. That's a long list.
No, but it's nice that it's very specific.
It's very specific. So we live spread out all over the diocese. So unfortunately, we don't get to be together physically that often, but we pray together. Part of the agreement to be in this group is that you pray a rosary for the other men and their families every Friday. And once you're done, you send a thumbs up text in the group text. So every Friday, all day long, I'm getting these thumbs up texts reminding me that I'm with these other men. These men are with me. We're praying for each other. So I'm really grateful for that. And then we chat on Zoom or FaceTime every once in a while. Like right now during Advent, we're chatting every week, reading the readings together and kind of sharing. And yeah, because our lives are so similar, we can actually go deeper when we're sharing like what's going on and what's been difficult, what's been good, how the Lord is working. That's been really nice to really zone in on some of those things with them. And then we have an annual meeting at a lake, And so even that started really small and has just kind of continued to grow over the last couple of years. So that's been a gift to me too, and hopefully a gift to them.
Absolutely. You're listening to Gentry Heimerman talk about young adult ministry. He is the director of young adult ministry in the Dodge City Diocese, but this is applicable to anyone, anywhere, giving us some great advice on how we can, even in our own lives. That's one of the beautiful things is this isn't just like a parish thing. Like the information that you're giving us is really, like you said, we'll just start something. Sometimes I think we sit back too much and always think that, well, somebody else will do that. But it's real easy. And I love, I say real easy. I do love how you're just like, no, just like whatever you're doing, just call somebody up and invite them to it. And not everything has to be not everything has to be a Bible study.
Right.
I think that's the beauty of it is really authentic Christian witness is getting to know the person. When those moments come up that you have those faith-filled conversations, those are great. But not every single night has to be centered on that. You can just have friends over for a game and meal and whatever else
Yeah. I think a lot of my work, especially early on with college students, was just doing things with them that they liked to do, which ended up leading me to like them, like disc golf. I didn't play disc golf at all in college.
Really?
Yeah.
I love disc golf.
And I love it now too, because some students that I was meeting with were, these were the students who they probably weren't going to meet me for mass. They probably weren't comfortable coming to like a diocesan get together of some sort, but yeah, we can play disc golf together. So, okay, great. I'll meet you there. And I ended up, I did fall in love with disc golf. And, but yeah, those encounters can happen in any of those places. It doesn't have to be in the parish hall on a Wednesday night in order for it to be ministry, So that's one way I think is just to invite people into the thing that you already enjoy, to share your joy in that thing with them and let the Lord work in that space. See what happens from there.
Absolutely. Side question. Are you any good at disc golf now?
Well, no, I'm not that good, but I have hosted tournaments. I'm technically a tournament director.
Oh, really?
Yes. I'll use this as a shameless plug. I'm hosting our 5th annual Father Capon Classic in April. Yeah. So it's a benefit tournament. And in order to come and play, you have to bring 100 diapers with you. That's the entry fee.
Hey, all right.
So then we donate those diapers at the end. So we've raised I don't know. I can't remember how many thousands of diapers
that is
over
so
the past
cool.
4 years. Yeah. So if you want to come play some disc golf in Dodge City, April, I think, is the plan this year.
Bring a bunch of diapers. Load your truck full and head on down with some discs.
Yes. And you'll get a sweet disc if you come and play. Every year I make a custom disc with a different image of Father Capon. And so those are collector's items.
Really?
Yeah.
That is awesome. Now, do you have to win that, or does everybody who
plays gets one?
That is so cool. I might have to do that.
You should.
We'll look into that. All right. 785-621 4110. We have had a great discussion here with Gentry, and we thank you for listening to us. We are here because we're on our Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Care-a-thon. We have a total goal of $125,000. We have $13,310 left in matching funds, I think, if I'm doing my calculations right. And so that means that if you call in right now with $1,000 donation, that immediately becomes becomes $2,000. So let's see if we can get some more of those donations. If it's not 1,000, that is okay. If it's 500, that is okay. If it's 25, that is fantastic. Whatever you can give to help us stay on the air and make sure that we are doing our best in evangelizing, call 785-621-4110. If you have one of those questions for Gentry, please call 785-621-5061. We'll get your question asked. Also, to just to remind you that we haven't gotten our winner of our book yet. So the first caller to call in and donate $100 or more is going to be given the book called In the School of the Holy Spirit. This is compliments of Heil and Ann Huguenin. They are the owners and funeral directors of Hayes Memorial Chapel here in Hayes. All right, getting back to Gentry Heimerman now. We've talked about a lot of things, and a lot of these things are good and fantastic. And, you know, it'd be great to just hit the ground running. I'm sure there's speed bumps sometimes. So what are some of the difficulties you've had to actually overcome in young adult ministry?
Great question. I don't know. I think maybe one of the major obstacles in all of this across all those age groups is just isolation. The way that our culture at the moment, with our cell phones and our various other devices, even like our garages, the way that people just like, you know, the garage door is like now at the front of the house. And so you get home from work and you send it up and you drive in and you press the button and you send it down and you never interact with people, even on your street. So that isolation, even when you get into that out of college range, is really difficult for people to overcome. It takes a lot of energy to overcome that inertia, to get out of your space, whatever your space may be. And so that's why a lot of this work is just literally bringing people together, whether it's for a disc golf or a Bible study or anything in between. A lot of the work is just getting people away from that and into community. And the thing is, God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, they exist in community, and we're made in God's image and likeness. So it's stamped in our DNA to be in community. We don't do well when we're totally isolated.
Yeah.
And so we want it and we need it, but our lives sometimes can be so patterned off of the isolation, off of the screen, off of whatever, that it is actually hard to convince people that it would be worth it to get together, or to overcome the fear to do it. So I think that might be a major speed bump or a major obstacle.
Yeah.
And like you've seen here at the campus center, when you do get a group of people excited about meeting one another and growing in their faith and doing that all together, it tends to grow, like it snowballs once it catches fire, kind of. And so I think, that's one of the major speed bumps, I guess.
Okay. So
does that answer your question?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that does.
Sure.
Okay.
Now, when you talk to the young adults who are either in your parish communities and are involved, or those maybe who aren't, what kind of feedback do you get from them as, hey, this is what I would like to see, or this really worked well, you know, this would help? Anything that you can tell us on that?
I think, I don't know if this perfectly answers your question, but this is where I'm going in my brain.
Okay.
I think sometimes at the parish level, people might talk as if they want young people involved at their parish, but when push comes to shove, it actually would be nicer to have this retiree to assist with this or that thing at the parish, because you can count on them always being there.
Oh, gotcha.
Whereas the young adult person with maybe the multiple kids or something like that, they're actually not as reliable. And so we might say we want young adults involved, but when push comes to shove, it'd be nicer to have that person who will always be there. And I totally understand that. It makes perfect sense. So I think what's good for a parish to do is to look at what are the things that we could ask young adults to be involved in. What are some responsibilities that we could have them carry, and be okay if they don't carry it perfectly.
Gotcha.
Be okay if they're not there 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's something that we're already doing and we've been doing it a certain way for a while, and somehow it's expanded to be this an hour and a half thing every Wednesday night. Could we cut that down to 25 minutes and actually have the 22-year-old at the parish help out? Because she could agree to that. She probably won't agree to doing the hour and a half program. So I think, when we're thinking about how to get young adults involved, and in a sense what we mean is, how do we get them to pitch in? Yeah. Because if they pitch in at the parish, now they've got, skin in the game, so to speak. They're going to be more a part of it. And they do have that desire and that capacity to carry some of those responsibilities. But if the responsibilities are too big, or if the demands are just too out of their bounds, out of their reach, then they'll be discouraged and they won't do it. So I think what I would encourage a parish to think about then is these people who are sometimes at mass, sometimes not, sometimes willing to help, sometimes not. What's something that we can invite them to do that that we're okay with it if they don't just like always do it exactly the way we want, or always do it the way we've done it before, and to find that middle ground and invite them into that middle ground.
Yeah. No, because as you're talking, I could see that like it's unfeasible to ask a young new mother to be on the funeral committee,
right?
Like to hey, by the way, since you have a new baby and you just went back to work, can you at noon on Tuesday just show up and make a meal with us? Like
right.
No.
Right.
But
and hopefully maybe someday she will be making the
but as of right
meal
now, that's not logical.
Right. So what's something that you could invite that mother to do that would be enticing to her, or would benefit her in some way, or would benefit the parish in some way, but it's actually within her means, yeah.
And I'm also thinking that, something that we've seen and has worked well is offering childcare.
Yes.
That does help a lot, because I've had parents that told me the only reason we came is because you guys offered childcare. Otherwise we would not be here. But then as I'm saying that, like you said, are there things that we could cut it down and say, you know what, actually bringing your children, we don't even need childcare, because they can just hang out and be with us, and and we can do this, and we've got side games for them, and we'll all be here, so it doesn't have to always also be like, well, if you're gonna come to this, we got to make sure that we have a separate place for your kids. Let's make something where it could be the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. And one other thing too, thinking back to that men's group that I mentioned, we never meet before 9 p.m. Because all of us have kids to put to bed. So it's like, okay, everyone on Tuesday night, make sure you're ready for a Zoom at 9 p.m. or 9:15. We'll chat then. So that's another way that we, sort of make it work within family life, and still, like, we're still growing deeper in our faith together as married men, like learning what it is that God's calling us to in that state of life. So I think just being more flexible with some of those things, and being okay with it if it doesn't look exactly this way or that way. Inviting people in nonetheless.
Okay. Do you have any other things that you'd like to mention on that topic as to how to maybe draw young adults back in?
I think young adults are looking for, something that's real and bold and authentic, like richly beautiful, like devastatingly beautiful, And so if the things that are offered to them are sort of like bland or banal, that it turns them off, understandably. And especially if those students have been to a place like the campus center, like St. Isidore's, and they've experienced this rich, like, Catholic culture and community, it's kind of intimidating for them to come back to their little parish somewhere where things don't look like that. And I guess what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to challenge a young adult, to like draw them deeper into the faith, because that's what they're seeking. And what they do not need, and what I think they do not want, is like a watered down Catholicism. That's not what they're after.
Absolutely. That's something that I am wondering about, because we're kicking around the same thing, is what I have noticed. I know that the United States, and probably not just the United States, but definitely the United States, went through a long period of terrible catechesis. We're now actually entering a state where I think there is pretty good catechesis going on in many parts, especially within the Salina diocese. I don't know the Dodge City diocese, but probably with the work you're doing. So we have these kids who, they don't need the superficial level stuff anymore. Right. There are people who haven't heard it yet, and don't know their identity in Christ. But we also have kids who are like, I get it, but I want to go beyond the fluff. So how do we answer that to in saying, all right, I keep throwing out, well, let's study some St. Thomas Aquinas. There are people out there that actually would do that. But maybe not having to even go to that level, but to give them some real meat and potatoes. How do you do that?
Well, I think some of it is just like, get back to the basics, like just do what the church does. Mass, adoration, confession, liturgy of the hours. these things are so rich, but if we don't invite people into them or give them like a good, like a roadmap, there's a college student right now that I'm going through once a week. We've been meeting and talking about the Mass like step by step. I think it took us 9 weeks to get to the Eucharist.
Wow.
Over those, and we're just looking at each thing that happens in the Mass and then trying to look beneath, like, okay, but here's the symbol at the top that we see, but what's beneath that symbol? And why does the church do that? And what's it supposed to do in us? And how's it preparing us to put our hearts on the altar? And just by taking those steps, deeper and deeper in, I think her and I both came away with just a greater respect, a greater love for the Mass, for what the Lord is doing. And we went to Mass together recently, and both of us compared notes afterwards. Like, I paid so much more attention today, just because we've been talking about every one of these steps, and everything kind of like lights up for you.
Okay.
So to give people, a good tour through these riches of the church, to point out this is why she does this, this is why she teaches this. There's real beauty underneath there. But yes, if all you have really experienced is like, I don't know, pizza and bowling as like your PSR experience.
And once again, not that those are bad.
I love pizza and I like bowling.
Yes.
But if that's the deepest it ever got in high school, then yeah, you do you're left with this emptiness or this sense of like, that's not enough.
Yeah.
And you understand then why people choose to just watch the Chiefs on Sunday instead of go to Mass or something, because that's riveting and their friends are there and, people like get excited about it, but their Mass experience is like,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. So have you read Scott Hahn's different books on the Mass and things like that?
I've read some Scott Hahn stuff. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, because I was wondering if, we don't always have to reinvent the wheel. Even things like that, when you were talking about doing a deep dive into the Mass, you could even, not everybody has to be a scholar immediately. You could do something like that and say, hey, let's read this book together, go experience Mass together, like you said, and then talk with one another about what we understand better now.
Yes.
Wow.
We were following actually a book, which I'll recommend, by Chris Carstens is his name.
Okay.
Let me think of the name of the book. A devotional journey into the Mass, a mystagogical journey into the Mass, something along those lines.
Okay.
But it's very readable. Like it's simple, but it takes you into those deeper steps of the Mass. And so I would highly recommend it.
Fantastic. Gentry, we appreciate your time here. We've got just a few minutes left. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like to let our listening audience know before we're done today?
Did anyone ask any questions?
No, I know. I love when people call in with questions. We have very few of them. So if you're listening, please call us with some questions. We love questions.
No, I think I just want to say thank you to many people in many places. First and foremost to my parents, the foundation they set, their example of a faithful marriage, and then leading from there, all those volunteers that probably put up with me and my friends through some of those catechesis situations where I was more difficult than I should have been. And then especially here, Father Fred, of course, but even this radio station. I was just telling a student earlier today that when I was in college, I had a radio in my dorm room. It played radio and CDs, which to that student was like unfathomable.
Yeah.
And I remember finding the station and playing it sometimes while I would be, doing things. And then I moved to a house here on 11th Street for my next 2 years of college, and it played all the time. I listened to, Ray Garendi, and I listened to the Coming Home shows on EWTN, and I learned a lot about my faith because of that. So I'm grateful too, just for this radio station and the work that's been done here, all the work that Donetta did. So yeah, it's just amazing to me how patient the Lord has been with me and other people in my life, and how slowly He's working in our lives. The more and more we surrender to Him, He'll take any of that room that we give Him, and He'll go to work, and I'm grateful for that work. So.
Oh, well, thank you so very much. We really appreciate your time here with us today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a great day, sir. You were listening to Gentry Heimerman speak about young adult ministry for the Dodge City Diocese, and he gave us all kinds of other good wisdom. You don't have to be a young adult director, a youth director, to spread the message of Christ. In fact, very few people are. So he gave us some really good information on things that are applicable to our own lives. Just really getting people to get together, to share a meal, have fun together, together. And when those deeper conversations come up, they come up, and then you're there. You already have that friendship built, and then you guys can actually discuss those deeper things in life. So we want to thank Gentry for his time. We want to thank all of you for all of your donations. Especially right now, I want to thank Tom and Sabrina Garner of St. John. And so they donated $700. That means a couple of things. One, that their donation through the matching funds was up to $1,400. So thank you so very much, Tom and Sabrina. And two, that they win that book of In the School of the Holy Spirit by Jacques Philippe. And so that was compliments of Heil and Ann Huguenin. They are the owners and funeral directors of Hayes Memorial Chapel here in Hayes. Thank you for listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Care-a-thon, Joy of the Gospel. We have our total Care-a-thon goal of $125,000. You can go to our website, and every day we will make sure to update the thermometer to show where we're at. We'll give you totals at the end of the day or just whenever we can. I know that we still have probably about $12,000 left in matching funds, somewhere around there. So that means that there's plenty of funds left for people to call in and donate. 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. Let's get those donations rolling, folks. If you're hearing me, then it's your call. 785-621-4110. You're listening to Divine Mercy Radio, 101.7 KJDM Lindsborg and Salina, 105.7 KMDG Hayes, 88.1 KRTT Great Bend, 88.1 KVDM Hayes, and 89.1 KGOH Colby. We will see you after the 3 o'clock hour.